Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Today is November the 11th, Tuesday, November the 11th, 2025. It's Remembrance Day. It's the day on which we all remember those who served, and especially those who didn't get to come home to their families. And I thought it would be fitting to pay tribute to some of the men who not only fought in the ring in a post-military career, but also served their countries in uniform. These men were true warriors, men who showed courage, discipline, and heart, both inside and outside the ropes. So let's take a few minutes today as part of our overall remembrance to remember some boxers who were emblematic of the many who served. Let's start with a true war hero. Hero is a term that, of course, is grossly overused these days. But when I was doing my research for this video, this particular fighter stood out as not only a person who served his country in uniform, but who was an actual, real, live hero. And this person is Barney Ross, the hero of Guadalcanal. Now, Barney Ross wasn't just a world champion. Yes, he held world titles in 3 divisions. He was a lightweight, light welterweight, and welterweight champion. But his greatest fight, of course, was on the island of Guadalcanal in World War II. Ross was a United States Marine, and during one battle, he rescued several wounded fellow Marines while under heavy enemy fire, even though he was wounded himself. He carried one man back to safety while he himself was being shot at. For his courage, Barney Ross was awarded the Silver Star. The Silver Star is one of the highest decorations that the United States government can award. After the war, Barney Ross struggled with the psychological effects of what he'd seen in the war, what we would now term PTSD. But his bravery and selflessness remain legendary. So when we talk about fighters, boxers with heart, Barney Ross was the real deal, a genuine war hero. Guadalcanal, World War II, United States Marine Corps. Now, of course, many other boxers have served in uniform. Some, of course, didn't have to. Some, of course, could have probably avoided military service. But they all chose to serve. Sugar Ray Robinson served. Joe Louis, of course. Sorry, I'm slipping into British English. Joe Louis. Commonly, people like my dad would call him Joe Louis. Joe Louis, of course, the Brown Bomber, heavyweight champion of the world. He entered the U.S. Army and he spent years touring with the troops, giving exhibitions, visiting hospitals, boosting morale. He also donated his fight purses to military charities and the war effort. That's something that would come back to bite him later on, because he would get a check. It was in his possession. He signed the back of the check to the War Department for military charities, and subsequently, after the war, the United States Inland Revenue Service said, oh, well, you got paid, you had the check in your hand, even though you didn't spend a penny of it, it was income. What you did with it was entirely up to you, and they went after him for that income, for the tax that was owed on that income. Shocking way to treat anybody, but particularly shocking in when you consider that Joe Louis had given that money back to the US government for military charities. Joe Louis, of course, didn't see combat, but he was awarded the Legion of Merit because his service meant a great deal. He gave everything he could to lift the spirits of those who saw him. And I think that that's an important thing, to raise troops' morale. So when it was a time for him to stand up, Joe Louis stood up for boxing, for his country, and for his people. Another fighter I came across, of course, who we all know about, was Jack Dempsey. Now, before World War II, Jack Dempsey was already a legend, the Manasseh Mauler, and I've done videos on the Manasseh Mauler, ferocious heavyweight champion in the 1920s. Jack Dempsey could have easily not done anything in World War II except sit back and, enjoy his fame. But he joined up. He served as a lieutenant commander in the United States Coast Guard, where he helped train recruits in physical conditioning and hand-to-hand combat. He also organized boxing exhibitions, and again, just like Joe Louis, played a big role in keeping morale high. Of course, the Coast Guard didn't serve on the front lines, but he used what he had, his fame, his toughness, and his leadership to serve. And that's a theme you see over and over again with these fighters. They performed their service, not for glory, but because, in their view, it was the right thing to do. Rocky Marciano, who, of course, undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, the only person to be a heavyweight champion who retired undefeated. Before he was the Rock, Rocky Marciano was just a kid from Massachusetts, Brockton, Massachusetts, and he was drafted into the United States Army during World War II. He served in Europe. He earned the Good Conduct Medal and the World War II Victory Medal, and like so many men of that generation, he came home hardened, determined, and above all, grateful to be alive. He was a soldier, one of the millions who did his part and came home to build something better. The next fighter I chose, and of course, there are hundreds that one could choose from. So, my choices here may not necessarily be the same choices as you would choose, but they are just representative samples, okay? I want to make that clear. Was Henry Armstrong. He served in the U.S. Army. He gave his time and his energy to train others. He was the only man ever to hold 3 world titles simultaneously. He was the featherweight champion, the lightweight champion, and the welterweight champion. And again, he served his country proudly. And then lastly, I thought I would talk about somebody who did not serve in wartime, but just as a representative example of somebody who served post-war. And since many of my subscribers are from Britain, I chose Henry Cooper, our Henry. He served in the Royal Army Ordnance Corps, and it was in the army, apparently, that he learned the discipline and toughness that made him one of Britain's most beloved champions. And he represented that generation that rebuilt Britain after the war, men who knew what service really meant. So today, on Remembrance Day, we remember these boxers and the hundreds and the thousands and the millions of others who served. We remember them not just as boxers, but as soldiers, sailors, and Marines. And in subsequent years, or in the case of some of them, like Jack Dempsey, prior to the wartime, they fought for titles, yes. But importantly, in this context, they fought for something bigger, for their freedom, for their countries, for each other. So I thought today we should take a moment to honor all veterans, past and present, because courage, of course, doesn't just belong in the ring. It lives in every person who's worn a uniform. So, lest we forget, And with that, I will leave you to continue your Remembrance Day reflections, whether it's reflecting upon your own service, the service of your fathers, grandfathers, brothers, or sons and daughters. So I will close it there. We'll see you on the next video. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you can. And most importantly, on this particular day, have a fabulous day and spare a thought for those who gave everything. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.